Deep inside the heart of the ancient jungle, where light barely reached the ground and vines wrapped around every tree like serpents, the world seemed to hold its breath. Dust floated lazily through golden sunbeams, breaking through the canopy. Birds chirped in distant layers. Insects hummed, leaves rustled with a familiar rhythm until everything stopped. The jungle didn't simply go quiet. It froze. Monkeys bolted from trees, as if chased by unseen terror. Flocks of parrots exploded into the sky with frantic screeches. Even the wind paused, caught between fear and anticipation. The stillness felt unnatural, heavy enough to crush breathing itself. This was a silence that spoke of a predator on the move, a hunter so feared that the entire ecosystem held its collective breath. The very air grew thick with a primordial dread, a warning passed down through generations of jungle creatures. Something was stalking the shadows, and it was not of their world. Through the tall golden grass, the silhouette of a massive creature appeared, slow, confident, powerful. The king of the jungle stepped into the clearing. This was no ordinary lion. He was a colossus, an alpha whose rule was absolute. His mane, a magnificent thundercloud of dark fur, glowed like a halo in the fractured sunlight, framing a face etched with the history of countless battles. Deep scars ran across his muzzle, each one a testament to a challenger defeated, a territory defended. He moved with the unhurried authority of a monarch who feared nothing, his heavy paws pressing into the soft earth. His amber eyes, sharp and intelligent, scanned the silent jungle, his breath coming in slow, deep rhythms that sent puffs of dust swirling at his feet. But as he stood there, the undisputed master of this domain, his ears twitched, a flicker of unease. Something felt wrong. The jungle did not fear him like this. Its silence was usually a sign of respect, not abject terror. Something else had silenced it, something he didn't know, something he hadn't yet conquered. This new fear was a ghost, a whisper in the rustling leaves. No one had ever seen it clearly. It was a phantom known only by the clues it left behind. Tribesmen spoke of fleeting glimpses between the dense branches, a shape that defied description, moving with an unnatural fluidity. Strange, deep claw marks scarred the trunks of ancient ironwood trees, gouges too wide and too high for any known animal. Its footsteps were said to be lighter than falling leaves, a chilling paradox for a creature that could leave such devastation in its wake. It was a predator that should not exist here, a biological anomaly in a jungle with rules as old as time itself. The mystery surrounding it was a poison, seeping into the heart of the jungle, creating a legend whispered in hushed tones around flickering fires. This was a hunter built on stealth and surprise, a creature that existed in the periphery of sight, an enigma that intensified the suffocating curiosity of all who sensed its presence. The lion, the king, stood motionless in a sunlit clearing, a perfect portrait of power and regality. He was the center of his universe, a bastion of strength. The air was still, hanging heavy and humid. Then the wind shifted. A sudden, cold draft snaked through the heat, carrying a scent he had never encountered before, acrid and alien. In the blink of an eye, the tall grass in front of him flattened, as if an invisible force was sweeping through it. There was no sound, no warning, not even the snap of a twig. then a blur, a shockwave of movement too fast for the eye to process. A violent explosion of force slammed into the lion's side, a blow of impossible speed and power. The king was lifted from his feet, struck sideways with a force that defied physics. A cloud of dust and dirt erupted from the impact point, obscuring everything. The ground shook, trees vibrated, shedding leaves like a sudden, violent storm. The jungle echoed with the sickening crack of the impact, a sound so shocking that anyone watching would be forced to replay the moment to try and comprehend what had just hit. The undisputed king of the jungle. As the dust began to settle, a shape started to resolve itself in the deep shadows at the edge of the clearing. It was a massive silhouette, but one that was unearthingly wrong. It circled slowly, its form half hidden, half revealed by the shifting light. Long, spindly limbs moved with a disjointed, broken gait, yet it flowed with a predatory grace that was utterly terrifying. A spined, bony ridge ran the length of its back, catching the light like jagged obsidian. And then it turned its head. 2 points of intense, glowing amber light pierced the gloom's eyes. They burned with a cold, analytical intelligence, devoid of any emotion except hunger. Its movement was not like that of any animal born of this earth. It was twitchy, unnatural, yet perfectly controlled. This was not a known creature. It was not from this jungle. It was something new, something alien, something built for a single purpose: to kill. The lion, recovering from the initial shock, let out a roar that was pure, unadulterated fury. It was a sound that shook the very foundations of the jungle, a sonic boom that sent dust cascading from the highest branches. It was the roar of a king challenged, a ruler defied. The creature in the shadows did not roar back. It responded with chilling silence. It leaped from the ground to a tree trunk, clinging to it for a moment before launching itself to another, moving with a silent, weightless agility that belied its immense size. The clash had begun. The lion, a master of brute strength and raw power, charged forward, a juggernaut of muscle and rage. The predator, a master of speed, angles, and timing, met his charge, not with force, but with evasion. It used the environment as its weapon, leaping from tree to tree, using the trunks as springboards to launch flanking attacks. An ancient tree cracked and splintered under the impact of their first direct collision, the air filled with the sounds of snapping wood and savage snarls. It was a breathtaking spectacle, raw power versus surgical stealth. In the chaos of the fight, the predator landed another blindingly fast strike. The lion staggered, his massive body hitting the ground with a heavy thud. It was whined, his deep breaths now coming in ragged, painful gasps. For the first time in his long reign, the king looked vulnerable. As he struggled to rise, a much smaller, younger lion cub crept out from behind a thicket of ferns, its eyes wide with terror, its body trembling. It let out a small, pitiful cry. Seeing the cub, the alpha lion's demeanor changed instantly. Ignoring his own pain, he dragged himself into a protective stance between the vulnerable young one and the monstrous predator. A low, guttural growl rumbled in his chest, a promise of death to anything that dared to harm the cub. And in that moment, something shifted. The The predator, which had been a whirlwind of relentless, calculated violence, hesitated for the first time since it appeared. It paused, its glowing eyes fixed on the display of paternal protection. The brief hesitation was all the lion needed. He charged again, a primal force of nature unleashed. The battle reignited with even greater ferocity, transforming the serene clearing into a maelstrom of destruction. The predator, abandoning its calculated stealth for a more direct assault, slammed into trees with enough force to uproot them. Vines as thick as a man's arm were ripped from the canopy like threads. The ground itself cracked and split under their titanic struggle, exposing a web of ancient roots. Dust storms kicked up by their movements choked the air, turning the golden sunlight into a murky, chaotic haze. Small animals, frozen by fear just moments before, now fled in every direction, a desperate exodus from the war zone their home had become. The jungle was being torn apart, the scale of the chaos a testament to the epic power unleashed in this clash of titans. The battle reached its crescendo. The predator, momentarily unbalanced after a missed lunge, scrambled near a massive half-uprooted tree. Seizing the opportunity, the lion charged with every last ounce of his strength, not at the creature, but at the base of the weakened tree. With a final, agonized groan of splintering wood, the colossal trunk crashed down, pinning the predator's long limbs beneath its immense weight. The creature thrashed, letting out an unearthly shriek of pain and frustration, but it was trapped. Seeing its chance, it twisted its body with an unnatural contortion and ripped its trapped limbs free, sacrificing flesh for freedom. Wounded and limping, it gave the lion one last look of burning hatred before melting back into the shadows from which it came. The lion stood over the fallen tree, his body battered and bleeding, his chest heaving. He let out a final, triumphant roar that echoed through the Mouse Island jungle. The king was still king. He had faced the unknown, and he had won. The adrenaline faded, and the lion's powerful body slumped. Blood dripped from a dozen wounds, staining his magnificent mane. It nuzzled its head gently against the great lion's flank, a silent gesture of comfort and loyalty. The alpha lion lowered his massive head, returning the gesture with a soft lick. The camera begins to pull back slowly, rising above the two figures. The view expands to show the clearing. Now a scene of utter devastational scar carved into the heart of the jungle. The setting sun casts long, somber shadows over the broken trees and torn earth, painting the scene in hues of blood and gold. The king had protected his heir and his throne, but the jungle would bear the marks of this battle for a long, long time. It vanished into the impossibly tall grass, its unnatural form disappearing as if it were a ghost. The lion, sensing the fight was not truly over, stood his ground, scanning the perimeter of the clearing. He let out a defiant roar, a challenge, sent into the encroaching twilight. A deep, profound stillness that felt more dangerous than the battle itself. Then, from the dark, dense bushes just beyond the clearing, 2 points of amber light ignited. They glowed with renewed intensity, unblinking, patient, and filled with a cold, predatory promise.